since the announcement of Sylveon way back in February, there have been all these ideas of new Generation 6 evolutions for older Pokemon. Now, most people have been doing like these top 10 lists of Pokemon that should evolve. I'm going to keep this short and sweet, do just a top 5, because many of them actually don't need evolutions, in my opinion. I mean, Generation 4 and Generation 2 covered a lot of them, so this is my top 5 Pokemon that I think should have evolutions. Now, before I get into the top 5, I'm just going to give out an honorable mention to these 3 Pokemon. Carnivine, because, you know, he only appears one spot, I believe, is the Great Marsh. So he's pretty rare, you know, just put him in a place in Kalos, give him a good evolution. That'd be a great idea. You know, Delibird, because his stats are just god-awful, and Mr. Mime, because, I don't know, something cool that would make people stop hating him. I mean, hey, it's a good idea. And one last thing before I officially start the list, you're going to notice that a lot of these Pokemon on this list are actually Hoenn region Pokemon, and that is because of all the advancements that Generation 6 is making. I believe that a Ruby and Sapphire remake is more likely than ever. In Generation 5, it wasn't too likely because there weren't really that many graphic advancements in that generation. But Generation 6, that's a whole different story. So let's go. Number 5. At number 5, we have Heatmor. Heatmor pretty much has the honor of being the worst fire type that was introduced in the 5th generation. I mean, most of the other fire types like Emboar and Darmanitan and Victini were all great. They all had awesome stats and they got the job done, but Heatmor on the other hand was just bad. Like Carnivine, this guy can only be found in one spot, the Victory Road in Pokemon Black and White, which makes him quite forgettable, to be honest. I think if this guy were to come back in Kalos and get a new evolution, it would make people remember him a lot more. Not to mention, he's stuck in the depths of NU. In case you guys don't know what that is, it is a Wi-Fi battling tier. NU is basically the lowest tier, where all the pretty much crappy Pokemon are, and so this guy could definitely use a boost. If he gets an evolution, he could get an Eviolite and be a lot more handy in Wi-Fi battles. I mean, take a look at these ideas. You could do so much with that huge tail of his and those fumes coming from his mouth. I mean, anything's possible. Now, with all this being said, there is a reason that he's number 5, and that is because of Durant. Durant is basically like his counterpart, kind of like, you know, Zangoose and Seviper. And to be honest, I can't really see an evolution for Durant. I mean, I don't know what there is to improve on with him. So if Heatmor gets an evolution, then Durant is definitely going to need one as well. Another reason I put Heatmor down at number 5 is because he's from the Unova region, and Unova just seems so much more isolated than the other regions, so that might be a factor as to why he may never get an evolution. Number 4. Absol. This is going to start the streak of Hoenn region Pokemon. Absol is one of my favorite Pokemon out there, although I have to admit there is a little bit of something missing, and it all lies in his stats. He lacks speed, has some pretty crappy defenses. The only good thing about him is his attack. As you can see on the right, he is in the RU tier, which is just a bit above Heatmor. An evolution would fix up those defenses and speed right away. However, the reason he's 4th is because of that major attack stat. Even if you boosted up his attack a little tiny bit with an evolution, that would send his max way over 400. And I believe that's just too much power for Absol to carry. But come on, let's just look at these Absol evolution ideas. Game Freak, you know you want to do something awesome with that horn on his head. Turn it into a sword, do whatever you can. I can't tell you how many times I have these crazy fantasies about an awesome Absol evolution. Number 3. Sableye. Thanks to the Prankster ability in Generation 5, Sableye becomes a great utility Pokemon in UU. However, with that being said, just like Absol, his defenses are very bad. Extremely low HP, bad special defense, average defense, and terrible speed. Again, that doesn't really come into play because of Prankster, but still, if you're looking for an offensive strategy, just use a different Pokemon. Now, some of you guys may disagree with me, saying Sableye doesn't need an evolution because he's a Dark Ghost type, and he pretty much has no weaknesses. Well, let's look at Spiritomb. I mean, he's a Dark Ghost type, and you can clearly see the improvements that are made with Spiritomb. Besides the low speed, it pretty much improved on Sableye in just about every stat. Now, the reason Sableye is right here in the middle at number 3, it all lies with the Fairy type and what impact it will have on his Ghost and Dark typing. As we know, Ghost and Dark has no weaknesses, but Fairy could change that. I mean, let's say Fairy is super effective on Dark. If that happens, then BAM! Suddenly Sableye has a weakness. And because of his paper-thin defenses, he's gonna need something to back it up. Give this guy an evolution with better defenses, or put an Eviolite on this guy once he gets an evolution. That will help him out a lot, especially if Fairy is super effective on him. Number 2. Bayonet. In Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, I pretty much always saw Bayonet as Dusclops' offensive brother. However, in 4th gen, Dusclops got the evolution Dusknoir, so how do you think that made Bayonet feel? Not very good, I imagine. I mean, you could pretty much use the same evolution method for Dusclops. I mean, just give this guy a special item and trade him or level him up, something. I mean, you got the whole method right there. And again, just like the other Pokemon on this list, his stats are pretty terrible, and he needs something to bring him up. Plus, since Bayonet is basically like a puppet doll thing, you can pretty much do just about anything with him when he evolves. I mean, look at all these varying ideas.
Now just imagine Bayonet evolving into something murderous. He hunts down the child that abandoned him years ago, and that child is dragged into an oblivion, never to be seen again.
Number 1. Tauros. Tauros, unlike the other Pokemon on this list, his stats actually aren't too bad. He has pretty good speed and pretty good attack. The main thing is his design. I mean, most of the time, you're supposed to have a cool evolution that fixes a fairly simple design. I mean, look at Sneasel evolving into Weavile, or look at Magmar evolving into Magmortar, or Golbat into Crobat. Tauros' design is very, very, very simple. I mean, look, he's basically a bull with 3 tails. That's it. Don't get me wrong, I love Tauros and all, but seriously? 3 tails? That's all you did? Game Freak already fooled us once with this guy, but that won't happen again. And plus, there actually is something solid to this. We've already seen screenshots of Tauros appearing in a horde with Miltank in the Kalos region. And because he appears in the Kalos region, that immediately ups his chances of having an evolution. And this would be the perfect way to fix his simple design. Turn him into an awesome Minotaur. I mean, come on, if you have Execute, a bunch of eggs that evolves into a giant coconut tree, I mean, going from a bull to a Minotaur doesn't seem that crazy. And plus the name is right there, Minotauros. It's not that complex. But the main reason that this guy needs an evolution is because of his typing, the normal type. As I said before, Tauros is very good offensively, but let's just face it, normal types normally aren't that great on the offense. Normally you have Pokemon like Blissey that are pretty much stalling out battles, not being offensive. If we get a Tauros evolution with so much attack that it can overcome that problem, imagine how much pride and honor that would bring to the camp of normal type Pokemon. And that pretty much wraps up this video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and if you guys think I missed something, or if there's a completely different Pokemon that needs an evolution, feel free to comment below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.